Welcome back to the Android database application tutorial series. In this part 3 of the tutorial series, I will be discussing about the update functionality, that how you can update the existing person model inside the real-time database using Android application. So we have created a simple single form application that was creating a person object with some details mentioned on the screen you can see, and then using the read button to read the existing person object. Now in this video we will be focusing on the update functionality. So before getting into details that how we can update the existing object, if we talk about the update scenario, and if you are familiar with the database structures using any other language or any other platform, then you have come across the situation that for updating that some sort of updating needs some sort of unique identification. Okay, so if you closely look at this particular person model that we have created in our previous video, you can check out those videos also. So in this particular person object, there is no any other way to recognize the particular person model uniquely. So of course, for performing update, we need some sort of the unique identification. So for that particular unique identification, we will use the column ID and we will assign the field attribute primary key to it. Okay, so I hope that if you are familiar with the database structures, then it is sounding something familiar to you. The words primary key, the word field attribute, and all that stuff. So since I'm using real-time database, so I have to tell it the data type of the ID. So of course the data type of the ID will be long. As why long? Because there will be some situations in which your database will grow hugely. Okay, so for that particular case you need some sort of long IDs, so that your database can store them, of course. So public long ID or primary key, and we will assign it some add attribute. So in this case I will assign it add primary key. So what I have done here, I have assigned it the primary key attribute. So what realm will do whenever it will look at this particular person object, it will say, okay, so this is some primary key attribute. So inside the down this primary key attribute, there is long ID. So I have to take this long ID as a primary key for this particular object. Okay, so this is what is running in the back scenes. Of course, for the ID, what I will do, I will use the setters and getters. So public long get ID and then public void set ID. So these are the getters and setters. Okay, simple as it sounds, but really it is not. Of course, it is not. It is not as simple as adding some primary key and assigning them getters and setters. It is not that simple. In real time, of course, it is not that simple. Okay, so why it's not simple? Once you make some changes in the existing model, you have to tell the realm through configurations, through realm configurations, you have to tell it that I have made some particular changes inside my model. Please reflect your schema as per my changes. So there should be some way to tell realm that please note down these changes and perform these changes in your schema also. I have made some changes inside my model. Please update your schema. So how can we tell the realm about these changes? Okay, so migration is the answer to this question. Migration is the way by which we can tell the realm to please migrate yourself from this particular schema to the newer schema version, and make note of these changes that I have given inside my particular model. Okay, So let's get started with the migration. So for the migration, what we have to do, we have to create a new Java class. So inside my particular package, I will select the new Java class, and I will simple name it as, let's say, migration, of course. Okay, do whatever you want. I will stuck with the migration name. Okay, so this is migration, and then I will say, please extend this migration class from realm migration. Okay, okay. Realm migration is an interface, and there is one unimplemented method that needs to be implemented. So when I click on this and I press Alt Enter, it will say me that please implement the method, and that particular method is migrate. So when I click on OK, that method is implemented inside the class. Okay, cool. So what I will do, I will take this dynamic realm. So here it's a dynamic realm. I will grab its schema. So I will say dot get schema, and I will save this schema inside my realm schema object. So realm schema equals to realm.get schema. So yes, of course, I will say that Alt Enter to migrate that particular class. Okay, so okay, sorry, my mistake. Since real-time migration is an interface, so we can't use extend, of course, because extend is used for classes, and for interfaces we have to use the keyword implement. So my bad, of course, my bad. Anyhow, we have got the existing schema from the realm, and we have saved it inside the realm schema object. Okay, now what we will do, we will grab this old version ID and we will typecast it to integer. So integer version is equals to int. We will take the old version and we will typecast this to int. Why? Because we will be using the switch case phenomena in the next piece of code. So what we will do, we will say that switch to the version. Okay, and we will provide it with some cases. So now basically, if you are familiar with the switch case statements, so what it will do, it will grab this version. Okay, because why I am using switch case, okay, let me explain you why I'm using switch case. There will be some situations in which you need some tremendous amount of changes as your application grows inside the database. So there might be some points in which you need some changes inside your database. So those particular changes would be connected to this, to some sort of versions inside the realm database, which I will be telling you in the when I will set the configuration. I will tell you that how you can set the version. So each change would be reflecting some sort of version number. So that version number is coming inside the old version. So how you can describe the particular change for the particular version? For that particular scenario, we are using the switch case. So what we have done, we have grabbed the version, okay, and then from by typecasting the old version to int, and then we are switching on this particular version. So since we have only one scenario in which we have made changes, and the scenario is just that we have added the primary key attribute. So what we will do, we will say case 0. So 0 in this case will be our schema version. Okay, and then what we have to do, we have to say the realm that please grab the schema for the person object. Sorry, not it's get realm dot Okay, so okay, my bad. We have to use this particular schema object, and we have to say that please schema grab our person model. Okay, because we have made some changes in it, and please add field inside it. That field is with the name ID, as we have mentioned here, the name ID. Okay, and its type is long, so I will mention here long.class. Of course, since we have mentioned that this ID will be of type long, so its data type will be long.class. And then I will tell you that it contains some field attribute. So that field attribute is primary key. So of course, field attribute dot primary key. Okay. So, okay, we have created a migration class. What we have do? We have created a class migration. We have implement the 3NM migration interface. We have implement the unimplemented method migrate. We have created the schema object inside the method, and using the dynamic realm object realm, we have get the schema, and then we have take the old version and typecast it into the integer, and then we have perform switching on that particular version. So after that, we have described the case for our particular version, and we have said that please schema grab the person object and add the field inside it id. Its data type is long, so long.class, and we have added some field attribute, so it will be our primary key. Okay, cool. So this is the migration class that will be necessary for the realm configuration settings. Now, what I will do, I will create the realm configuration object. So realm configuration is equals to new realm configuration dot builder method of the realm configuration. I will let's say tell the name of the database. Okay, my name will be person DB for the most part. Yeah, person DB, of course. After that, I will tell about the migration. That please, I want to perform migration. So migration, and it is expecting class from me. So I will tell him, I will tell it that there is some sort of migration class. Please take this. I want to perform migration on basis of this class. Okay, and after that, what I will do, I will tell it that my schema version should be 0, as we have mentioned here inside the migration class. That's 0, so 0 will be my schema version. And finally, I will tell it to please build the configuration. Okay, so this is our okay, cool. Some sort of misunderstanding here. So this is basically the realm, and the realm configuration is not a constructor. So we are using the builder method of the realm configuration class, and inside that builder, we have been assigning the name of the DB. In this case, it will be person DB or any other name you want. And we, since we now want to perform migration, so we have say dot migration, and we have created the object for the migration class that we have created. And then I have provided the schema version. So in this case, it will be 0, as I have created the case for this particular version. And then finally, I have used the build method. Okay, so now what I will do, I will use the set default configuration, and inside it I will pass the configuration object that I have created recently. Cool. So this is, so far, this is the basic setup for performing migrations. Okay, In the second part of the part 3, so basically part 3 would be comprising of two parts. So in the first part we have discussed that how we can perform migration inside the VLM, which is the very important topic. Okay, so and you will come across various situations in which you want to perform some sort of changes inside the database. So how you can reflect them? So migration is the answer to this query. I hope you have understand the concept regarding the migration. In the coming tutorial, I will tell you about how we can update the existing data model inside the real-time database. So get connected.